All right, I gotta be honest. Fargo, North Dakota and the surrounding areas are awesome. But you won't catch me shouting it from the rooftop on days like today where we're in the middle of a blizzard warning. I have to be honest, moving to Fargo, North Dakota isn't going to be for everyone. And on today's episode of Living in Fargo, North Dakota, we're gonna go over the reasons why you might not want to make your move to Fargo, North Dakota and the surrounding areas. Let's check it out. Your first time to the channel, make sure to hit subscribe and tap the bell for notifications so you're the first to know about all things going on in and around Fargo, North Dakota. I'm Megan Oy with Realty Experts, and every day I talk to people just like you. So whether you're 9 days, 90 days, or 9 months out from your move to or around our area, I'm here to help make that a smooth transition. All of my contact information is listed in the description. Feel free to reach out to me in whatever way is comfortable for you. Now, let's get into all the reasons why you should not move to Fargo, North Dakota. Okay, let's get the obvious one out of the way. Winters here are no joke. We're talking sub-zero temperatures, wind chills that make you question your life choices, and snow. Lots of snow. If you think you're just gonna tough it out because you've lived through a New York or Chicago winter, I've got news for you. Fargo winters are in a whole different league. Shoveling becomes a daily workout, and you'll learn to love words like wind chill and frostbite warnings. Oh, and let's not forget the blizzards. Blizzards can roll in fast, and when they do, it's not uncommon for schools and businesses to shut down. Sometimes it's just a day, sometimes it's longer. It's fun at first, but if you're a parent, just know that snow day means e-learning day. Unexpected daycare day. Working from home with kids in the background? Yeah, good luck with that. But on the bright side, snow days can often be a really good excuse to stay inside, stay cozy, sip your favorite coffee, and binge watch your favorite show. That is, if you're lucky enough to not have to do a work from home day. Okay, the next one is a little more serious. As our population has grown here in Fargo, North Dakota and the surrounding areas, so has our crime. It's not really a completely crime-ridden city, but if you were expecting the cozy, keep your doors unlocked type of community, Fargo isn't really like that anymore. Most of the increase has been in property crimes. Think car thefts, break-ins, and porch pirates. If you leave your car unlocked with the keys inside, yes, people still do this, you're basically handing it over. Crime rates have also risen a bit in certain neighborhoods, so if you're moving here, you'll want to do your research in which areas fit your comfort level. Want a pro tip? If you're buying a house, ask your realtor about the area. They can't legally say this neighborhood is dangerous, but they can point you to crime reports and help you make an informed decision. The good news is Fargo still ranks safer than most metro areas that are its same size. The community really does look after each other, and the police are incredibly proactive in addressing crime trends. Every spring, Fargo residents keep one eye on the weather and one eye on the Red River. The Red River in Fargo has a history of flooding, and I mean like big destructive floods. The good news is the city of Fargo has been incredibly proactive on building flood walls, doing buyouts, and they're currently in the middle of a huge project, which is the diversion. With all that said though, it's still really good to be aware of where you sit in terms of the floodplain. Fargo's most infamous flood happened in 1997. It was one of the worst floods in the history of the Red River Valley, and it devastated communities up and down the river. Fargo was spared from complete disaster thanks to quick action by residents, emergency crews, and thousands of volunteers who worked around the clock to fill and place sandbags. But 2009 was another story. That year, the Red River reached its highest level ever recorded, 40.84 feet. The city declared a state of emergency, and thousands of people once again came together to stack millions of sandbags. If you lived here at that time, you remember the non-stop news coverage, school closures, and the stress of waiting to see if the levees would hold. It was tense, to say the least, But the silver lining? Fargo learned from it. Since then, the city and local government have taken huge steps to reduce the risk of future flooding. Fargo now has permanent flood walls, levees, and diversion projects in place to control where the water goes. One of the biggest projects is the FM diversion, a massive undertaking that will divert floodwaters away from the city. It's a game changer, but it's also taken years to plan, fund, and build. Here's how it works. Instead of floodwaters surging directly into Fargo neighborhoods, the FM diversion channels that water around the city, reducing the pressure on the Red River's banks. It's a long-term investment to protect Fargo from what we all know is inevitable, another big flood. Okay, so if you're thinking of buying a home in Fargo, here's what you need to know. Not every neighborhood floods. In fact, most of Fargo is now better protected than it's ever been. But some areas are still considered part of a floodplain, and that's where flood insurance comes in. You can look up a floodplain map online to see if a property is in the flood zone. If it is, you'll be required to carry flood insurance, if you're financing with a mortgage at least. Plus, flood insurance adds to your monthly payment, and depending on the property, it can cost a few hundred to a few $1,000s per year. But here's the thing, if you don't live in a floodplain, you don't need flood insurance. And even if you do, it's not the end of the world. Your real estate agent can help you figure out if flood insurance is required and what it might cost. Look, flooding here is very real, but so are the protective measures that the city of Fargo has done to keep us safe from that floodwater. Spring flooding still happens every year, or almost every year, but if you know the right areas to look, if you're looking to not have flood insurance, or if you're comfortable with that payment with flood insurance, that is not going to be a big deal for you. It really isn't a big deal for most buyers, and it's definitely not something that's truly keeping people out of our community. Okay, the nightlife scene. If you're somebody who's looking for a plethora of rooftop bars and clubs that stay open till 4 a.m., Fargo is going to let you down. We're more of a grab a beer with friends type of city rather than a bottle service type of city. But honestly, I like it that way. We've got live music, breweries, and street festivals in the summer, but if you need constant entertainment, you might feel a little limited in the winter months, unless you count ice fishing and snowmobiling as nightlife. Fargo is in the middle of, it's in the middle of the Midwest. So if you're someone who likes to take frequent trips to larger cities, you might be looking at a longer road trip or potentially even a flight. Want mountains? That's an 8-hour drive to the Black Hills or 10 plus hours to Montana's Rockies. Big city vibes? The closest option is Minneapolis, and it's still about a 4-hour drive. Chicago? Pack snacks? That's a 10-hour haul. On the bright side, if you love road trips, you'll fit right in here. But here's the flip side. All that space means peace and quiet. No traffic jams, no crowded freeways, and sunrises that stretch across the entire sky. People from big cities don't get it until they see it. So sure, we don't have beaches or mountains nearby, but what we do have is access to Minnesota's lakes country. And trust me, there is nothing like a summer weekend at the lake. Lake weekends? That's the Fargo version of a beach day, and honestly, I'll take it. Less crowds, more peace, and no overpriced parking. The Fargo-Moorhead area is definitely more of a small town, whether we'd like to admit that or not. And that comes with pros and cons. People here are definitely Minnesota nice, if you've heard that phrase, but sometimes that can feel maybe a little passive-aggressive. Additionally, sometimes it feels like everyone knows everyone, and if you are used to the big city and the anonymity of that, it might feel a little too cozy for you. To simplify things, there are 2 seasons in Fargo, North Dakota, and that is winter and construction season. You'll really notice it when you hit those potholes. The work needs to be done, but it can be incredibly frustrating in the warmer months that almost every road feels like it's blocked off or that your travel time is slowed down by construction season. Taking it back to the weather again, thinking we're gonna get a relief after the winter, we hop into construction season, yes, but we also hop into mosquito season. The humidity that we experience here in the summer months is the perfect breeding environment for these terrible bugs. I don't know why we have to have them. It would be nice if we could have a break and just go outside and enjoy the patio without having those mosquitoes, but they're here. All right, here's where I can give you some real insider insight. Let's talk housing. If you're thinking about buying or renting in Fargo or the surrounding areas, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The market has changed a lot over the last few years. Let's talk about renting. If you're looking for a rental, be ready to move fast. Quality rentals, especially updated apartments or single-family homes, get snatched up quickly. It's not uncommon for places to have wait lists, especially in newer developments or near popular areas. Prices have also crept up as demand has increased. If you're coming from a big city, it might still feel affordable, but if you're local or coming from a smaller town, the rent might feel higher than you expect. And no, Fargo isn't like some giant metro where you can negotiate rent. Around here, landlords know they've got demand on their side. If you find a spot you like, apply fast. Pro tip, have your references and paperwork ready so you can lock it in before someone else does. Now, for the home buyers, here's the deal. Fargo's housing market has stayed pretty competitive. Prices have gone up, but compared to bigger metros, it's still affordable. If you're coming from a higher cost city, you might be shocked by what you can get here for your money. But if you're a first-time home buyer or moving within Fargo, you'll notice homes don't stay on the market long. In many cases, well-priced homes can get multiple offers. So if you see a house you love, you have to act quickly. This isn't the market to think it over for a week. It might be gone by then. And speaking of competition, cash buyers and out-of-state buyers are becoming more common. If you're going up against them, having a strong pre-approval from your lender is a must. Here is my biggest piece of advice. Work with a local real estate agent. I know, that sounds self-serving, but hear me out. If you're new to Fargo, I can help you avoid flood-prone areas and keep you in the loop on things like property taxes, homeowners associations, and what it's really like to live in different neighborhoods. It's more than just find a house, sign the papers, and move in. Trust me, it's a process, but it does not have to be stressful. Whether you're thinking of buying or renting in Fargo, North Dakota and the surrounding areas, just know this. The Fargo market moves fast, but having somebody locally who is an expert on the area and can help you navigate that and come up with the perfect offer and the perfect scenario for you is going to be super helpful. Don't miss that piece. The last thing we're going to discuss on this list is the media stereotypes. That whole thing from Fargo, the show, and the movie with the accents and the oh yeah, sure, you betcha, is not really how we talk, but majority of the country believes that it is. Although there are some people that do talk that way. They're usually from the smaller surrounding towns. My uncles are in with that crew. They're really fun to listen to and they'll make you giggle. They're lovely people. But majority of people in Fargo, North Dakota and the surrounding areas do not sound like anyone from that movie or that TV show. At the end of the day, Fargo isn't for everyone. It's kind of a small town. It's really cold. There's mosquitoes. The housing market moves fast. There are the things. But for the people that love it here, it's home. If you have any questions about Fargo, about renting, about buying, about the area in general, drop them in the comments. I'll be here probably holding a shovel and a can of bug spray. Thanks for watching.